So just glad to see you.
Director Wong, it is 5:30.
Okay, Commissioners, good afternoon. Commissioner May, it's 5:30.
All right, welcome everyone. Good to see you. We will go ahead and start with our pre-commission agenda. Any housekeeping items, miscellaneous that anyone would like to bring up? Seeing none. Any comments on the agenda for this evening?
Oops, I have one.
Over there. Commissioner Goldthorpe.
I'm getting a 404 error message when I try to bring up the agenda. So I don't know if there's a problem somewhere, or
See if we can get that figured out before we start. You bet.
I just pulled mine up with no problem, so if you want to
Did
type with your page, maybe that'll help, Commissioner.
And you might have to clear your cache. If it goes to an error, it will just keep coming back to an error.
Kent, I always get error if I go under the tab that says Commission Agenda, but I go under Commission, about ACHD, and then go to the meetings page directly. And then I can see the meeting. So there actually is, I think, that little tab at the top of the home page, that there might be a problem, or I always run into that too.
If you refresh your cache, there should be a problem. I've been using that little tab that says Commission Agenda, and it worked just fine after I refreshed the cache.
Refresh usually
if you're
will
using an
help.
old cache, sometimes that does come back to haunt you.
So while you try that, then we'll have time to address that before we get into the...
Oh, it didn't work, but that's okay.
It didn't work?
Oh.
Why don't you go to your phone and bring up the email from Stacy and just click on that and follow that link to the agenda. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Well, I know it's on the agenda, so it's not that big a deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed you can pull it up. So hearing no comments or seeing none for the agenda, Director Wong, we'll turn it over to you for your director's report, please.
Well, thank you, Commissioners. Good evening. And again, this is you're here today for a very important session for the budget. I'd just like you to know that we've been working this now since last September. So this is a great culmination to a heck of a lot of work by several folks here, to include Christine and Dale, who's on the program. But anyway, as you recall, last week I shared the staff's thoughts, recommendations, actions regarding how we would continue to adapt to today's COVID, work at home, and fluid school challenges in supporting your team. As tonight's meeting comes shortly after your staff's metrics review, I thought I would share a few insights as to where we are in meeting your 7 operational requirements that you've set for the district. So I'd like to begin with the Chief of Staff. Currently, we have 65 commuter ride routes that are in service, supporting 318 passengers on a daily basis. In July, we displaced 368,352 single vehicle miles and 289 tons of carbon dioxide. Absolutely amazing. Of note, we found this out earlier this week, or the Chief of Staff did anyway, 83% of ACHC's van pools are in service, compared to only 40% of van pools nationwide compared to this time last year. So your commuter ride team's doing a tremendous job. Always important to our team members, 100% of all team member reimbursement payments were processed and paid within 7 business days, which has been our standard for some time now. What's interesting is you currently hold 47 properties with an average holding period of 10.91 years. Of note, the current commercial vacancy rate in Ada County is 5.16%, and there have been 2,273 homes sold in Ada County year to date. So you can see there's a tremendous movement in the residential market. For your communications team, in July we received 279 teleces and answered 80% of them within 1 week, regardless of the impact our COVID-19 precautions and new operations that were presented to your staff. ACHD's website had 23,142 interactive sessions, up from the 15,255 sessions in June. The website also received 50,491 views, up from 33,916 received last month, with 51% being new customers and 49% returning customers, a very good mix. The top performing post, shouldn't be a surprise, was the integrated 5-year work plan and the draft budget, which reached 6,578 people. We ended July with 4,841 likes on social media, which I think was up by 9 from last in June. For HR, our hiring average for the last 8 years is about 66 hires per year. Currently, we are tracking at average about 53 new hires so far for the FY. Of the 53 hires, 18 were internal, which means we have to rehire and look at again, with 35 externals, which is a good 50-50, or excuse me, a good mix for the team. Year to date, work-related injury, personal injuries, accidents stand at 4, with our not-to-exceed goal of 8. And year-to-date ACHD vehicle accidents stand at 2, with not-to-exceed goal at 8. As you'll see in the budget presentation, that's one of the reasons why we've seen no increase in insurance rates and workman's comp. Team member retention stands at 95%. Compliance with safety training continues at 99% complete. Harassment prevention and diversity training continues at 99% complete. For legal, our July public records request turnaround was 1.1 business days, down from 3.7 the previous month, and our legal task turnaround time was 4.6 days, down from 8.2 in June. Again, a tremendous move forward. To date, we have collected $52,999.17 in restitutions that we've been able to put back into the operations general budget. For your maintenance team, the total maintenance cost for centerline miles maintenance in July was $18,562, or that's $8,775 per lane mile, for a total of $45,402, which is absolutely amazing. We filled 100% of the 87 potholes reported at ACHD within 24 hours. And year to date, we have filled 1,670 potholes, all within 24 hours of notification. We have completed 57% of the historical maintenance backlog, which we, as you know, we're focusing on instead of the chip seal operations, and we expect to be fully complete by December 31. The ACHD Sheriff's labor detail contributed 1,038 hours of support in July, and as you know, this partnership saves the taxpayers over $195,000 in ACHD wages per year. Now, one of the critical things that maintenance has accomplished, again, it's always important, to date we have achieved 9 duct saves in July, and we have a total so far of 18 year to date. For our development and technical services team, year to date, we have completed 875 plan submittals, 168 commercial impact fees. We have issued 4,505 permits. We have held 97 subdivision pre-cons. We've completed 915 development applications. We've finalized 5,726 line locations. We've worked 594 signal trouble calls, including the ones yesterday, and such, and 183 after-hour calls. We have striped 1,156.7 lane miles year-to-date, and we've completed 527 pavement markings, crosswalks, those sort of things. We've installed 10,000 reflective pavement markers to date. We've made 2,236 traffic signs. We've installed 4,552 traffic signs. We have worked 453 traffic signal trouble calls. We've completed 567 traffic investigations. We've issued 427 traffic engineering work orders. We have reviewed, if you're ready for this, 3,538 traffic control and 104 special events permits year to date. We've implemented 859 new signal timing plans and adjusted 588 signals supporting events and incidents. And we've posted 2,768 incidents on the ACHD website. Our signal in-service rate stands at 99.9%, with 11 signals out for 13.75 hours in the month of July. That is absolutely incredible. With our focus on pedestrian safety, we are pleased to report that we have 64 red before PED signalization programs up and running. We are also continuing our government-private partnership for testing and development regarding the hands-free pedestrian signal innovation that we will incorporate into our systems. Of really great news, ACHD's ADA Advisory Committee has elected to establish 2 working groups that will focus on issues that keep coming up: roundabouts and digital accessibility. The committee would like us to use these groups to have more of an in-depth conversations with the ACHD staff where collaboration and education are at the forefront, reduce the amount of misinformation about the issues, and identify opportunities to improve accessibility. The draft scope for each of the following groups is as follows. For the Roundabout Working Group, the Roundabout Working Group will develop recommendations for improving the accessibility and safety of exiting and future roundabouts in Ada County, existing and future roundabouts in Ada County for pedestrians with disabilities. The recommendations will be based on research, feedback from people with disabilities, and insight from ACHD experts. The group will work to increase awareness around the barriers roundabouts pose for people with disabilities and how improved design will increase safety for all pedestrians. For the Digital Accessibility Working Group, the focus for this group is to identify and prioritize resources, opportunities, and processes to improve the accessibility of digital communications. Your staff will be in full support and participating for both working groups, and we look forward to the insights that this important efforts will provide. This is a big deal. For plans and projects, 20 of the 20 of our largest projects are in the green, and we are right dead center on the forecast spending curve for FY20. The average pavement condition index remains at the very top, very good category, with only 2 arterial lane miles out of 1,147, only 5 collector lane miles out of 695, and only 24 residential lane miles out of 3,200 in the poor category. We have completed 7 new Safe Routes to School projects year to date for a total of 98 since 2009. Year to date, we have repaired 7,644 linear feet of sidewalk and 114 pedestrian ramps. Year to date, we have built 45,047 linear feet of new sidewalks with 212 new pedestrian ramps at a cost of $2,238,198.48 for the month of July. We have established 337.25 bicycle lane miles, and right-of-way has cleared 176 parcels year to date, which again is absolutely phenomenal. As for an update to the Commission's directed GAP projects supporting pedestrian safety, of the 21 directed projects, and again, of that 21, there are 3 in CUNA, but they are rolled into 1 with 3 phases. 8 have been completed, with an additional 4 under construction. 2 more will be started next week, with 3 out to bid in August. 1 is in the design phase, and 2 set aside are set for construction in FY21. 1 has been delayed by development. This effort on pedestrian safety has been one of the many safety focus points for every ACHE project, and it will continue as we bring forward the proposed FY21-25 integrated 5-year work plan for your consideration at the end of September. Of note, the follow-on citizen proposed GAP projects are already addressed in the integrated 5-year work plan, integrated 5-year recommendations. And as you will see next month, we will look forward to the Commission's prioritization of these nominations to move forward after we complete the current set. Moreover, We will be proposing a critical update to the ACHD bike map, continue our strong safe routes to school emphasis, and address low-stress bikeway networks. In summary, your team continues to meet and exceed your 7 operational requirements, and I do not see this changing. This completes my update to you, and I'll stand for any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Director Wong. Impressive report. I love those numbers. Commissioners, any comments or questions for Director Wong?
Yes, I have one.
All right, Commissioner Goldthorpe.
The GAP projects that are slated for 2021, have the dollar amounts been rolled into fiscal year 21?
Yes, that is a thumbs up, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Director Wong? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much.
You have a couple minutes, Commissioners.
All right, thank you.
Director Wong, it is 6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. Madam President, 6 o'clock, over to you, please.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I will now call our August 26th Commission meeting to order. And Director Wong, if you would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
You go on, raise and stand and follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. All right, this evening, we are recognizing Christy Little, ACHD's Development Services Manager, for her continued success and outstanding leadership in ensuring the district's thousands of plan submittals and development applications are expeditiously and accurately reviewed by her team. Brilliant in every aspect of her job and duties, Christy is recognized throughout Ada County in government, civic, and business circles as the go-to expert in Ada County for the myriad of issues surrounding Ada County's tremendous growth requirements. As important, today is also Christy's birthday. So Christy, on behalf of the entire ACHD team, thank you for all that you do for so many, and happy, happy birthday. All right, our first order of business is to adopt our agenda. Is there a motion?
So
Yes,
moved.
so moved.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless noted. Do we have a motion?
Madam President, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, that takes us to our regular agenda item this evening. It's the FY21 budget public hearing request for adoption. I will now open our public hearing and we will hear from our staff. Christine Tandler. Are you here, Christine?
Madam President, I am here.
All right. Before you start, thank you very much to you and Dale and your whole team. This has been quite a Herculean effort. You've put a lot of effort and dedication into this project, as you do every year, and we appreciate all that you've done. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much. For the record, Christine Tandler, Budget Coordinator for the Ada County Highway District. Tonight is a decision briefing on the public hearing to adopt the FY21 budget. I apologize. So all of the public hearing requirements were made. We notified the assessor's office. We advertised, and the document was available for public inspection, both at the front desk as well as online. The directed planning assumptions from the commission were to assume no property tax certification increase, and we also did not do a resolution to add that amount to the foregone balance. Just as the same as last year, we followed the commission's capital allocation methodology that's listed here, with ADA, environmental compliance, ballot commitments, and matching impact fees being the primary being the number one focus, primary being signals and asset management, and secondary the neighborhood plans and non-impact fee eligible capital improvements. Some of the items that came up that were the actions that were taken during budget preparation is that we did reschedule $4.2 million in project costs due to various schedule changes with COVID and as well as the 10 mile from McMillan to Chinden that Costco's building. We moved that from FY20 to FY21 to make that payment. The district also saw no increase in medical or dental premiums, life insurance premiums, or workman's compensation rates, which was very exciting for us. So the budget is balanced at $135.7 million. As you can see, we have new revenue of $122.2 million, followed by cost share federal aid, the rescheduled projects. Commuter ride is just under $3 million, which is fairly stable for the past several years. On the expenditure side, we are showing a capital budget of $70.4 million, which is just over 50% of our overall budget, showing that we are putting that back out into the community in capital projects. And I will go over capital projects in a little more detail shortly. So here is a pie chart depiction of the breakdown of where ACHD gets their property or gets their revenue, majority of that being from property taxes, followed by the State Highway Users Fund, which is fuel taxes, and then impact fees. The remaining items, revenue, come from registration fees and then various fees, user fees that are paid for development and the like. As I stated earlier, the capital budget is just over 50% of the overall budget. I will highlight that the district again has an 8% overhead rate cost, and we have maintained that for several years. It's something that we work hard to maintain that low of an overhead rate. On the operational highlights, I will continue to discuss the ADA and pedestrian safety improvements, the red before ped that we began last year. The yellow arrow and pedestrian crossing adjustments are continuing into FY21. The ADA diagonal ramp and push button inventory, that inventory will then be rolled into the projects that we do in the future, so that we'll have that information as we go through scoping and design and know that those needs are out there. We also will continue to engage our bike and ped committees to make sure we have safe routes to school, that we have critical updates for all users, all modes, all types of transportation in the valley. We're addressing all those, as well as the ACHD bike map will be updated, and then we'll be printing a new one for distribution. On our drainage projects, we have two, Bell Creek and Crimson. These are projects where we go in typically to older neighborhoods where there is drainage issues, some flooding and the like that happens during significant rainstorms. Try to work on redoing those drainage systems to alleviate that inconvenience. On the planning side, we've got the CUNA neighborhood plan and the South Meridian neighborhood plan. These are the last of the large neighborhood plans in the series that we've done, I think, in about 8 to 10 years. This will give us a full county look at all of the neighborhood projects that need done, and then they can then be prioritized against one another to assure the entire county has projects identified. And in lieu of chip sealing this year, we will be chip sealing Zone 2 South next year, which is south of I-84. On the capital budget, I will show that nearly 50% of the budget is shown in roadways and intersections, and all the widening and improvements on those two types of projects do include bike lanes, ped crossings, bike lanes, increased safety for all users. We also have on the bottom in the purple is the bridges. This is the first year that we have one of our largest bridges that we're doing. It's Gowan Road, west of I-84. It's about a $7 million bridge. We started a couple years ago to work on a large bridge strategy because we have several in the county that we need to start working on, and this is the first large one that we are doing. On the community programs projects for construction this next year, we have a $3 million project for the Kaja Street Bikeway. This goes from roughly about Kootenai to Franklin Park Drive. There's, as you can see, there's 2 PHBs, a couple RRFBs, and then a pedestrian bridge across Kaja Park. This will be some road maintenance, sidewalk additions where there are gaps, some bike lanes, much needed improvements in that area. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic there. And then on that western end is Bora High School. We also have some accessible pedestrian signal upgrades happening at Fairview and Milwaukee and Fairview and Curtis. Those that drive that road know the activity that happens there. And then some additional special school crossings. Again, all the safety is just much needed. So on the capital project side, we have a really pretty heavy design year planned for FY21. As you can see, several of these projects, most of these projects are mostly impact fee eligible. The IF stands for impact fee eligible. That means that we can use development impact fees to help offset the cost of these projects. We have several intersection and a couple roadway projects out on Lake Hazel showing that as that has been identified as a commission priority corridor. So we are working through that, as well as the bottom one shown as the Orchard Street realignment. This is the whole brand new road. We're working through the consultant agreement right now. It's a pretty big undertaking. With that, there will be several intersections and stuff, but that's a much needed road to the south to connect. Excuse me. In right-of-way, we also have several projects happening there, obviously. The Fairview Avenue in Locust Grove and Fairview Locust Grove to Eagle Road is a project that is in design currently, so we'll be working on the right-of-way next year, and then look to complete that project in 22 or 23. We also have Lake Hazel and Eagle Road intersection. That project has been designed by our in-house engineers, and we'll be working on the right-of-way on that and then design in subsequent years. Lastly is the Locust Grove Victory to Overland and the Victory Locust Grove Roundabout out in Meridian. This is a project that we've been working on for some time with the city, and we'll be working on to get that to construction in FY22. Again, I'll go through just a couple of the construction projects. So again, that Gowan Road Bridge west of I-84. Eagle Road Amity to Victory and Eagle Road Amity Roundabout. Increasing that roundabout from single lane to dual lane is planned for FY21. As well as the Maple Grove Victory Road to Overland Road widening. It does include several bridges and 2 school crossings. And then just out here on Chinden and Curtis, there is a project that we're doing to add the right-hand turn lane southbound that will help alleviate some of that stacking. So staff recommendation is I will need 2 separate motions. One motion to approve the 21 budget of $135,730,300, as well as a motion to authorize the commission president to sign the property tax certification of $42,161,400. I will stand for questions.
All right, thank you very much, Christine. Commissioners, any questions for Christine before we hear from the public? All right, hearing none. Christine, thank you very much. All right, Ms. Spencer, do we have individuals that have signed up? I see Deborah LaSalle has signed up. Is she our first one?
Yes.
All right, Deborah, are you there?
Can you hear me?
We sure can. Welcome.
Great, thank you.
If you could just state your name and address, please, for the record.
Thank you. Name is Deborah LaSalle, and my address is 4689 North Arrowvilla Way, Boise, Idaho.
Welcome.
Great, thank you. So I want to thank you for considering public comment in your decision making and for allocating funding to the bikeways. I'm a member of the Boise Bike Boulevard Coalition, and I'm testifying to request prioritized funding for a fully networked low-stress bikeway network. And I come to you with my personal testimony in being a mother of 2 children and going through financial hardships through a layoff of a spouse and starting a new business myself, and really depending on the electric cargo bike as a car for our family in Boise from February to November. And it's honestly been a dream, and it's something that I think is very available to families, particularly in Boise. It's a very beautiful city to bike in. It's very safe. And with the caveat that going on an electric bike and using it as a car for your family, I want to be on a bikeway that's 20 miles per hour, so I don't have cars passing me, where I can be in the lane and be seen as a vehicle, because I am a large presence on that cargo bike. I carry right now my 12-year-old and my 7-year-old. Together we weigh about 300 pounds, but we are able to cover up to 42 miles a day on my battery, and I've put 5,000 miles on that bike, and that battery has not gone down. So the technology has advanced to the point where this is a very feasible way to get through town. So I'd love to see that the network be put together now, and that those signs be made so that people can start using them and know that there will be a low-stress network for Boise in years to come, and to build that system in the next 5 years rather than waiting for the 20 years that likely these will roll out. So I just want to encourage you all to make that priority and do some spending that's low cost for just signs, painting on the sharrows in those 20-mile-per-hour zones, designating those streets, and getting a map out that shows parents where those, and other low-stress users, where those streets are. Because I don't use bike lanes. I don't like to go on roads that have traffic more than 20 miles per hour, because my biggest fear is a dog running out, right, or a squirrel, or something that throws us out into traffic, a tire popping. Safety is my #1 priority when I bring these children on these roads, and eventually I want them on their own bikes. But until I have that network of roadways, I'm going to be pretty protective. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate you taking the time to address us. Yes, Commissioner Baker, do you have a question?
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make a comment. You know, Debbie Lombard-Bloom is on our Bicycle Advisory Committee. She's a representative pretty much from that low-stress bike network group. You know, she's a perfect one, and I know you know her probably, so she's a perfect one to actually discuss this with, so she could bring it to our bike advisory committee. It's a perfect place for this discussion to take. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. We appreciate it. All right. Next individual that has signed up is Deanna Smith.
I'm here.
There you are.
Sorry, it took me a while.
Welcome.
A little slow on the uptake here. Sorry.
You're just fine. If you just go ahead and state your name and address.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. Deanna Smith, 1208 East Jefferson Street.
Welcome.
Thank you. For the past 7 years, I have followed your CIP and budget process. ACHD has slowly increased the response to needs for bike and pedestrian safety. However, the progress has been too slow. This CIP and budget again makes some effort, but not enough. Along with other voices, I'm here to ask for a budget and CIP that commits to completing a safe network for walking and biking within 5 years. A network this organization started working on in the mid-90s, yet nearly 30 years later, we still do not have that network. Biking and walking safety and connectivity vie for dollars that go to improvements for cars that often serve their convenience, not their safety. I recognize there are more people who drive, but we know the demand for walking and biking is increasing. We also know we have decades of no funding for this infrastructure that we have to make up for. We'll spend millions of dollars on wider roads to maintain a certain peak hour level of service compared to the thousands we'll spend on a few bike and ped improvements, never even assessing that level of service. This CIP could be a start if you alter your arterial designs with attached sidewalks and painted bike lanes, and instead turn those into side paths that are shared by both biking and walking within the same right-of-way width. and include traffic calming in all new infrastructure such as curb extensions. Claiming a complete street when you paint bike lanes and put minimum 5-foot attached sidewalks on arterials with speeds of 35 and greater speeds does not count towards developing a network. You would never invest infrastructure that only serves a very small percent of people who drive. The Roadways to Bikeways Master Plan identifies the low-stress network, and your bike matrix provides guidance for how facilities need to be designed to build a network that all can use. Completing that network fully should be in your integrated 5-year work plan, and future budgets and CIPs should reflect this. We need a budget and a CIP that looks at Valley Connect 2.0 and addresses first and last mile infrastructure for our future transit needs. Lastly, I urge you to go to the legislature requesting changes to the impact fee statute to allow all transportation infrastructure so that development can pay for the infrastructure it requires rather than supporting infrastructure required in another part of the county. This would provide funding to support sidewalks, traffic calming, low-stress bike routes, etc., in those areas left behind because they were built during the decades when we didn't consider biking and walking. If the Commission determines to take a 3% growth, all of that increase should be committed to infrastructure to complete this network and other improvements for walking and biking safety. We need priorities that create a budget and a CIP that will build a transportation for the system for the future and not the past. I hope next year's process has a robust discussion about priorities and how to complete a network that serves all your users. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. Appreciate your time. All right, the next individual that has signed up to address the commission is Eric Willatson.
Dear
Welcome, Eric.
Oh, thanks.
If you could state your name and address, please.
Yeah, Eric Wilson, 4906 Wymosa Street, Boise, Idaho, 83703.
Welcome.
Dear ACHD commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to provide input tonight. I'd also like to ask for the low-stress bike network to be implemented in the next 5 years. I want to share a story with you about my time living in the Veterans Park neighborhood area of Boise. So I've mentioned in the past, our neighborhood is split by State Street, as I'm sure you all know. And we're lucky to have access to the Greenbelt and access to the foothills when State Street safety hazards aren't considered for pedestrians and cyclists. And as a long-distance runner, I really cherish access to these recreational amenities. In addition, there's also a grocery store at the eastern end of our neighborhood at the 36th Street and State Street intersection. And despite only being a mile away via State Street, we've ended up driving, my wife and I have ended up driving about 90% of the time to the store and adding to the already heavy traffic congestion on State Street. Or we generally use grocery stores that are close to our places of employment rather than investing in our neighborhood businesses. So as an amateur endurance athlete, I always find myself asking, why do I end up driving to the grocery store that's only a mile away? As future hopeful parents, why would I likely drive my kids to Taft Elementary when in reality that's an easy walking distance? And why couldn't we use the Greenbelt as a reliable connection to these community necessities? I think a lot of it has to do with the perceived danger that we have as cyclists and pedestrians at 36th Street and State Street intersection. And maybe it isn't that physically unsafe, but certainly doesn't feel that way. And that perception has kept me from using active transportation to perform what should be a quick and simple way to get fresh air while doing an errand. A couple of weeks ago, I realized, though, that, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this, I didn't have to use the Greenbelt for all of my active transportation needs. A very real and safe solution existed that ACHD provided. I could use a fairly new lighted crosswalk at Wiley Street and State Street intersection, bike on Taft Street, and then utilize 38th Street to connect to Albertsons and Taft Elementary, some point in the future for our family's future young scholars. At least in my small part of Ada County, these cycling pedestrian safety improvements are working and getting car trips off the road and ultimately saving taxpayers money in new construction and maintenance costs in the future. Needless to say, we, along with others in the neighborhood, were overwhelmingly excited for the implementation of Wiley Lane, the Roadways and Bikeways Master Plan, and are overwhelmingly excited for the adoption of Taft Street next year in that system. Our neighborhood is benefiting from this, and we hope that you'll earnestly consider the following items for adoption for the rest of Ada County's residents by completing implementation of the low-stress bike network in the next 5 years, providing traffic calming measures for locations where major arterials like State Street are intersecting with primarily residential streets, like many of the roads in the Veterans Park neighborhood area, and are creating high-speed traffic in otherwise walkable communities. And if you do choose to take the growth taxes this year, I hope that you'll utilize 100% of those funds, of those growth taxes solely to fund community programs. I also want to take a second and thank you all for beginning a process to include cycling and pedestrian level service policy and to ask the state legislature to allow funding for this infrastructure through the use of impact fees. I hope earnestly that you'll consider the bicycle and pedestrian advisory committees in the formation of these policies, and you'll be following the formation of a draft plan, following the formation of that draft plan with robust public input. Thank you for your consideration of these important matters and for your leadership in Ada County.
Thank you, Eric. We appreciate you speaking to us. Ms. Spencer, do we have anyone else? That was the last one that I had on my list.
That is it. Ms. LaSalle asked to have a couple facts, but I'm not sure that that's not customary practice to have somebody come up and re-testify. But she has asked to come up again. Commissioner
So Deborah,
Is that workable?
Yeah.
I just wanted to add a few things. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. We don't have anybody else signed up. It is a little bit of a deviation from our protocol, but if you just keep it quick, we would be happy to hear from you.
I will.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for your graciousness.
You're kind of cutting out a little bit. So I couldn't hear you there, Deborah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your graciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to add to my comments a couple of facts. And right now, surveys show that 1/4 of all millennials surveyed strongly agreed that they want to travel by bike more. And it's the highest of any generation we've ever had. And it even gets higher when you look at the survey results, and it's like they fully agree that they'd like to bike more. And then even more, like 1/3 of the millennials strongly or somewhat agree they'd like to bike more. Another fact I wanted to bring up is that bike sales have been going through the roof lately, and with COVID, there is a need for people to have independent transportation that is low cost and does not put them in close confines with other human beings, and biking is that perfect solution. The final fact that I just want to bring up is that not only does it help solve some of our transportation issues, it also really phenomenally helps with our health issues and getting people outside, which lowers stress, improves circulation, and is good overall. So I know our healthcare providers would strongly advocate greater biking accessibility and greater biking for all of us humans. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Deborah.
We do not have anyone else.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Spencer. Christine, is there anything that you feel you need to touch on or address after the public comments before we move on?
Madam President, there is not.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions, follow-on questions for Christine?
No,
before we
but
close the public hearing? I'm sorry.
No, Madam President, could they put the last slide back up? I think it would be helpful with the motions.
I think they're taking care of that right now.
Okay, good.
Madam President, I have a
We'll let
quick
that
question
get
of Christine.
All right, Commissioner Hanson, go right ahead.
Yeah, Christine, I know we have this in our packets, but several people asked me about what the value is of the growth factor, since we're not taking, the recommendation was not to take growth factor as well as the 3%. If you could give me a figure associated with both the growth factor and the 3%, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely. I want to verify that you guys can see my screen on there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I can.
Okay, perfect. Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, the amount of the 3% allowable is about $1.3 million, and the amount of the new construction roll was calculated out to be about 1.6. for a total of $2.9 million that was allowed for increase.
All right, thank you, Christine.
My pleasure.
All right, any other comments or questions for Christine before we close the public hearing?
Madam President.
All right. Seeing it. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Arnold.
Thank you. I just wanted to put on the record that we did receive a letter today, or I guess it came in late yesterday, from the Ada County Commissioners urging us to increase property taxes for this year. I think that needs to be in the record for our hearing. And I also wanted to take a minute to thank Ms. Tamler and her team for all their hard work on this budget. It was quite an undertaking. And I also wanted to thank Ms. Tamler for jumping in today and providing some information for me to correct some confusion with a member of the media. I really appreciated getting those answers very quickly so that I could respond. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, and Christine, thank you. Thank you on behalf of everyone for all of your hard work. All right, with no more comments or questions, I will go ahead and close the public hearing.
Well, Madam
All right,
President,
Commissioners, we have this before us, and I am looking forward to hearing what everybody has to say. And Commissioner Baker, looks like you're...
yeah, I would move approval of the fiscal year 2021 proposed budget of $135,730,300 as was proposed. And if I get a second, I'd like to just make a statement.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Yeah, Madam President, I think this is an unusual year, and the reason why we did not take property tax or even propose taking property tax was because of the situation that so many people find themselves in. They lost jobs, the economy took a hit. We were able to keep our people employed and functioning, which some other jurisdictions just kept them employed, but they didn't function. And I think that's a testament to our staff and our director for allowing that to happen and making that happen. But what I will also say is that I think it's important to point out that not only are we not taking property tax, but we are also not putting it into foregone, which means that we are not going to use the public's wallet as our bank account in the future. We didn't take the money for a specific reason, and there's no reason then to go try and grasp it back in the future. So I think that's important, and I'm glad the legislature made that change, and I'm happy to be able to be a part of that, because the worst thing I think that could happen is to go back and take the money that you didn't take now. I just find that awful. So I'm glad we're not doing that.
All right, thank you very much, Commissioner Baker. Any further discussion? Commissioner Hanson?
Madam President, I would like to make a substitute motion that we approve the FY 2021 proposed budget, but that we also take the new construction growth and include that as part of the budget by increasing community projects by that amount. And I would include in that motion that we commit to prioritizing the completion of the commission-approved bike network system within 5 years, that we require the evaluation of the need for traffic calming on all projects, and that there be report backs to the commission and to our advisory committees on progress towards that 5-year goal, and which projects do or don't warrant traffic calming measures and why.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hanson. We have a substitute motion before us. Is there a second?
Madam President,
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
I would love to second this, but I have some serious doubts concerning our ability to complete the low-stress bikeways all throughout the county within 5 years.
Okay, Commissioner Goldthorpe, we can have this discussion. Right now, we're looking for a second. If
Commissioner Bay.
would like to second
Commissioner
for sake
Bay?
of discussion. Yes?
We have someone coming up. I believe that we are unable to raise the budget because we have published the amount for tax revenue, that we can only decrease it. We cannot increase it, but we're checking on that right now.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. So we have a substitute motion before us. Is there a second?
It's an illegal motion.
Oh, it's an illegal motion. Okay.
Well,
All right, so we're not even, I thought she was
No, we can't do it. We
checking, but
didn't-
no. Okay, sorry, Commissioner Hanson.
Madam President, may I restate the motion?
Okay, the
We're not-
substitute motion that was initially before us is illegal. We can't entertain that. It dies for the reasons stated.
Okay.
So moving on.
Madam Chairman?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I thought we went over this during the budgeting process and that all the commissioners understood the requirements of the law, but apparently not. So Mr. Price is here if you want to call on him to restate or reiterate what the law is.
Madam
Mr. Price,
President,
you're at the podium. If you'd like to go ahead.
thank you, Madam President. For the record, Steve Price, ACHD Legal Department. Well, I think it's been stated, you can't increase the proposed budget amount. That was something, this discussion should have happened prior to the publication, and I think that discussion occurred at the time. So the substitution motion can't go forward, and it fails on its face. But Commissioner Hanson does have the ability to make another substitute motion, and if that's his desire.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Price.
Madam Chair?
Is there another substitute motion?
Madam
Commissioner
President?
Goldthorpe?
Yeah, I would like to make a substitute motion and modify the first motion just a bit. I would like to add an addenda to that motion that any bids that ACHD lets out in the fiscal year 21-21 that result in bid awards that are less than the staff estimates, that the difference be moved into community programs and spent on additional gap projects as well as connecting low-stress bikeways throughout the county.
All right, we have another substitute motion. Is there a second? All right, hearing none, motion fails for lack of a second.
Jim was saying something, but he was muted.
All right, I'll second the motion. Sorry, my mute was still on.
All right, we have a substitute motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Madam President,
Commissioner Baker?
basically, the budget is just the document within which we have the money to spend. We can do, we can change things around, we can add projects, we can decrease projects. This is just the framework. Larding it up with extra stuff at this point in time is nonsensical. We just need to pass the budget, make the certification over the next motion, and then talk about this stuff in like the 5-year integrated work plan or some other, some other meeting. But being this detailed for the budget is it's just not appropriate, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. I would concur with Commissioner Baker. Mr. Price.
Madam President, and commissioners, typically with any type of savings in bids, those go into the quarterly adjustment for reallocation of those dollars during each quarter. Those are reviewed on a case-by-case basis, and most certainly, and consistent with Commissioner Goldthorpe's the direction he wants to go, those decisions can be made at that time, and if the commission so desires at a quarterly adjustment, then they can make that decision. But that's typically how we've handled it in the past.
All right, thank you, Mr. Price.
Madam
Commissioner
President.
Goldthorpe, further discussion?
Yes, the reason I made the motion the way I did was because in discussing my concerns along these lines, as far as our revenues and some of the things we needed with regards to community programs and what I had outlined, this was the method that was suggested to me by our executive team, and I think it's a great one.
Well, Madam President.
All right, just, one second. I think Commissioner Arnold was waiting to make a comment, and then Commissioner Baker.
Thank you, Madam President. While I understand the sentiment that Commissioner Goldthorpe is trying to get across, and I agree that we should reallocate those funds. We have in the past done that, but those decisions have been made on a case-by-case basis based on the circumstances at the time. So I think it would be more appropriate to just go ahead and pass the budget. It sets the framework for the amount of money that we will have or projected to have for next year, and then handle the adjustments quarterly as we have in the past. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah, I would agree with Commissioner Goldthorpe's analysis. Every year I've raised the concern that way too much goes into adding new capacity, largely because that's the way that our impact fee statute drives us. It creates much greater obligations, maintenance obligations, and meanwhile the list of projects to complete in the community project, which is still under $10 million, keeps growing. And as the folks who testified today, the network, while we have approved it, won't be built out for many, many, many years. And so community projects are a good way to do this. It reflects the intent of the commission, if it's the intent of the commission, that community projects should be prioritized when funds become available. And I think that's an important point to be making, and I appreciate that Commissioner Goldthorpe raised that, and I would support his motion in doing so.
All right, thank you.
Madam President?
Any for Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, I just want to ask Commissioner Goldthorpe a question. What happens if we're doing a project that widens out and does the intersections in the current farm to market roads between CUNA and South Meridian, and those projects come in over budget? What do we do then? Not build them?
I suppose we could decide that then, but I have all the confidence in the world that our staff's estimates, which they have adjusted consistently since we had the large a situation in 2016 where we were actually $6.5 million overestimated what the bids came in. I think we've been much closer than that ever since. And I believe that with this COVID situation and possibly with some other financial situations that might come later on as a result of all the money that's appeared out of nowhere in the economy lately, that we might be faced with another series of opportunities to use these overestimations in the future. And I'm not pointing any figures or being accusatory or anything else. If you want to net that out, that's fine too.
Well, I guess I would go along with what Commissioner Arnold said, which was that we've done it on a case-by-case basis. You've indicated that it should be on a case-by-case basis, and so I think we should just continue with that on a case-by-case basis.
Well, last year...
I just wanted to interject here, and I think that's in light of the COVID situation, none of us know what's going to happen. And so to bog down the adoption of our budget this evening with added items, I think what Commissioner Arnold and Commissioner Baker have stated, it's a case by case. We've done things like this in the past. The time to do that, we can address them as they come up. So I would not be in support of the substitute motion for those reasons. I think we need to just move ahead with our budget and address these things as they come up, case by case. I'm sorry, Commissioner Goldthorpe, you had an additional comment.
Yeah, it was just to say that it is not completely as we do it every year. Last year, I remember we budgeted $3 million that came out of the blue for projects that were in the community's best interest. And I did not want to make such a motion this year because of the uncertainty of our revenue. So I proposed in this substitute motion something that could happen only if good things happened in terms of our estimates and our bids. But apparently that's rocking the boat too much. But I'm of course in favor of the substitute motion.
Commissioner May?
Commissioner Arnold?
Thank you. I just had one additional comment. I would point out that not only have we had savings on projects that came in under budget, and we have allocated those to community programs at times, but every year, I think since I've been on this commission, we've also had revenues that came in higher than our projected budget, and we've made decisions on how to best utilize those higher revenues on a case-by-case basis as well. And those have gone to projects, including community programs. So I don't want to tie the hands of the commission any more than we need to today. I think having a set budget that we believe will be appropriate is the best thing to do moving forward, and then make decisions based on the facts and circumstances that exist at the time.
Well, I'll respectfully disagree with that to the extent that I think that my substitute motion was just trying, insofar as I was able, to address some of the needs that the public have very eloquently expressed to us the last few months without burdening the budget.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll go ahead and call for the decision. We have a substitute motion before us. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Nay.
No.
All right, substitute motion fails. We are back now to our original motion. Any further discussion on that one? All right, hearing none, we'll call for the decision. All in favor of the original motion to adopt our FY21 budget as presented this evening, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Now we're going to need another motion to authorize the commission president to sign the property tax certification. Do we have a motion?
Madam President, I move we authorize the commission president to sign the property tax certification in the amount of $42,161,400.
And I'll second that motion.
Second. All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right. Now, our last item is public communications. Do we have anyone that has signed up, Ms. Spencer?
We do not.
All right. Ms. Spencer, I'm sorry, I did not hear you when you were talking. You just kind of came in softly from the side, and I was not picking up on what you were saying, but thank you very much. I apologize for not
Not a problem.
fully hearing what you were stating. So, all right. No more item business before us, so we will stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.